Hi, welcome to my channel. This is Living to Learn. Thanks so much for watching. I do appreciate you taking the time to check out this video, and I hope you look at some other ones that I've recorded previously on this channel. Before I get started with today's topic and really what's going to be the theme for probably the next few videos that I record, I want to remind you to please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done that already. It really helps me out. Also, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, leave me a comment, leave me a suggestion. Let me know if there's another topic or something, some area that you'd like me to cover. Maybe you like my, how I present things. You want to know my opinion. Sure, no problem. Let me know. The other thing I want to mention is if you go into the description of this video and all the videos really, even before this one, under the title, in the YouTube title, you'll see the word more. When you hit that little button that says more, it opens up the full description of the video. In there are two things. One is my Instagram and TikTok handle, which is at Live to Learn Coaching, at Live to Learn, LIVE, the number 2, coaching. That's the same for Instagram and TikTok. You can follow me there for more content. You can also reach out to me directly on Instagram if you have any questions, or you have any suggestions for me, or if you just want to communicate with me in any way. Maybe you want to send me a compliment. Maybe you want to send me something that you disagree with. I'm open to it. I'm okay with it. But that's how you can get a hold of me. The other thing you'll see in the description are 3 opportunities to donate financially to my channel. That really goes a long way. And so if you have the opportunity to do that, if you're able to do so, really appreciate it. For those that have donated, those that have been subscribed, those that have been supportive to my channel for such a long time, I want to thank you especially. It really means a lot. Appreciate you. So I want to talk about something it's actually come up recently. And so I was thinking, well, maybe there are other people out there that have been dealing with this or don't know how to do this, or maybe it's just something foreign to them, right? You've never understood the concept. And I'm talking about setting boundaries, and I'm talking about setting boundaries to help our mental well-being. You see, as human beings, we have a capacity. And just like, you go into let's say you go into a building, right? Or you go into like a conference center. You're always, at least in California and SoCal, Los Angeles County, Orange County. I don't think I've ever been anywhere where I didn't see one of these signs. But you go into a studio, or not a studio, but like a conference center or something like that, and you'll see on the wall maximum capacity, right? 700 people, 1,400 people. What that is, the reason why that's there is the fire department, or those that make the fire code, it's a safety issue. They're saying, listen, if you're going to have an event here, if you're going to invite people into this space, this is the limit that we're saying. Anything over this is going to be way too dangerous. Anything past this capacity is not going to be the safest or the best scenario if you should find yourself in an emergency situation. That's why those signs are there. As human beings, we have the same limits, whether we know that or not. Some of us are well aware. Some of us, again, this is foreign to us. Like, what do you mean capacity? Like, I need to be everywhere all at once as much as I can. And so for some of us, this is going to be difficult. So I'm trying to unpack it as simply as possible. I want to make it understandable, relatable. I want this to be something that you can take away from and apply it and utilize it. But boundaries is one of those things where if we can learn how to do that, if we can learn how to set boundaries, it's going to be very beneficial for us. We are not going to be expending ourselves past our capacity, because when you do that, just like I was talking about earlier, packing more people in a room that are supposed to be there, when you do that, you are putting yourself in a position that if something happens, if an emergency takes place, some kind of emergency situation, you're not going to be in the best position to react, accordingly or effectively or healthy, right? And again, this is a lot. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to boundaries, but here are my words. And I want to share something that I found. It's a condensed case study. You can find this on bradhambrick.com. a case study on thinking well about boundaries. I thought it was great because it's really easy, really simple, kind of an everyday example. We're talking about two individuals here. Again, this is a case study, but this is definitely something that's happening now and that has happened in the past to a lot of people. And it's a story about two individuals. One name's Heather, one name's Rachel. They're friends. And, Heather really appreciates Rachel, but Rachel seems to be a little overbearing as a best friend. And so she's caught up in that dilemma, right? Like, hey, I really do appreciate Rachel. I love that she's loyal. She's a good friend, but she's a little overbearing. And maybe we have people like that in our lives. We love them. We appreciate them. They're loyal. They're good people, but they're just a little too close, right? And giving their opinion a little too much, right? And so get what I'm saying here. And so anyway, the story goes, Heather becomes close to some coworkers. They start meeting regularly. Rachel starts to kind of give her 2 cents. And Heather kind of just says, hey, well, I can have other friends, right? And I should have friends. And rightfully so. We should be able to hang out with who we want to and have friends. No one should be telling us. No one should be controlling us, is what I'm saying. So anyway, let me read, and then I'll end with a few more of my thoughts, and then we'll let it go because I want to make a few more videos in sequence here. So anyway, here's the end of the case study. It says, Heather could tell that a conversation with Rachel was needed. But the first few attempts had gone so poorly, so she had already tried to talk to her, right? That Heather wasn't sure, even if she was right and accurate in her assessment, that she could effectively navigate the conversation with Rachel. See, a lot of times when you have somebody who is very opinionated, overbearing, they don't even realize it. And when you try to address that person, let them know, like, hey, like, this is a little too much. They take it almost as an attack. And this can make it uncomfortable, especially if you're someone like myself, who I'm not a confrontational individual. I want everyone to get along. Like, that's just me, personal. That's my personal, that's just who I am. So it can be tough, right? So anyway, she says she wasn't even sure if she could navigate the conversation with Rachel. So Heather didn't want to disregard Rachel's emotions, but she didn't want to acquiesce to them either. Meaning, listen, I don't want to disregard my friend and how she feels, but I also don't want to have to just reluctantly accept everything that she's doing. See, here's the thing. It's like they tell you, right? We've seen this on Instagram. Choose your hard, right? Being married's hard. Being single's hard. Choose your hard. Having kids is hard, right? Not having kids, right? It's like there's problems exist, right? But here's the thing. When you don't know how to create boundaries and you don't want to because it's so uncomfortable for you, you just don't want to do it. You begin to accept someone as they are. You accept what they're bringing to the table, but you're doing it reluctantly. And when it's reluctant, that causes all kinds of internal problems because reluctance easily leads to resentment. And now we are poisoning ourselves from the inside. That's not fair to us. So anyway, now here comes Heather's coworkers. Becky and Tara said, yes, you need to set some boundaries with Rachel. But Heather wasn't sure about that term. See, some of us don't even understand that. We're boundaries. What do you mean? I got to set walls? I got to cut people off? Like, it's a negative term. Heather wasn't sure about that term. At her church, she had picked up on the idea that Jesus crossed all boundaries to save us. So it's unloving to set boundaries with others. I can relate so much to this because, again, I grew up in church. I grew up in the Christian faith, so I know who Jesus is. I know what she's saying here. And again, for whatever reason, it's uncomfortable for us to even have these conversations for whatever reason, whatever upbringing. There's so many things that go into how we interpret things. We are complex beings. We don't have to beat ourselves up. I'm not saying beat yourself up because you don't know how to set boundaries. I'm saying I understand if there's some reasons why this is foreign to you, right? Why it's foreign to us. And so Heather goes on. It goes on to say, Heather liked Rachel, but grew weary with Rachel's seeming inability to do friendship in moderation. So it's like, what am I going to do here? So again, introducing this topic of setting boundaries to care for our mental well-being. You see, we have a capacity, we also have a right to maneuver through the world, through our life, through our social life, the way that we see fit, the way that we see it pleasing to us, to ourselves. And again, going back to that comment about church, to think of yourself as an individual. There's a lot of language in religious institutions, in church, that pretty much wants you to disengage from your individuality. And it's not outright said like that, but the language kind of leans that way. So then when you have to do stuff like setting boundaries, which is a very individual and personal decision, this is my decision, we can begin to feel uncomfortable. We can get emotional. We can start to think, man, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm putting this person on the outside. But I want to tell you that setting boundaries is extremely healthy for us as individuals, as human beings. It's very important for our dignity and our self-respect and our self-worth. And having self-worth, having self-love, having self-care, self-kindness, and dignity, and confidence, and respect for yourself, we have every right to those things. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful. I share from the heart, I share from the mind. This is my opinion. This is how I see it. And if it connects with you, if it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, please find somebody who does, because there's a lot of voices out there. I'm just one of many. But if you've gotten this far in the video, I know this one was kind of long. I usually don't like to go over 10 minutes, but I feel like this is just a lot to unpack. So I didn't want to rush through it. If you've gotten this far in the video, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to what I have to say about things. And again, if this is helpful, continue to come back to my channel. Share these videos. Send this to someone who you think like maybe this is something that you need to hear. Maybe you just need to hear another voice talk about these things. Whatever it is. I'm putting this stuff out here because I want to help people. Because like I've said, and again, this is your first time watching me, I've said this many times in previous videos, I have always had the help that I've needed. And I realize that that's a gift, and I realize that I am lucky, and I realize that I'm blessed, and I realize that I'm fortunate to have had that experience and to still experience that to this day. My life's not perfect, it's not easy, but I've had such a great support system, loving family, people in my corner, great wise voices. It's my responsibility then to my fellow man, to my fellow humanity out there, to everyone in my circle, in my world, is to give that. So that's why I do what I do. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Again, reach out to me on Instagram, TikTok. If you have any questions, put something in the comments. If you want me to go further about this discussion, again, I have some other videos I got lined up for the rest of the week. But if there's anything else you want me to talk about, or you just have a question, let me know. If you have a criticism, let me know. I'm open to that too. Again, always with respect, as I respect you as well. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I know I rambled a little bit too much at the end there, but I really love doing this, and I really hope that you appreciate not just what I'm doing, but the fact that there are people out there who want to help just because. Thanks.